Well, fabulous. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this special edition of All Aboard Travel's Cruise and Travel Expo 2021 Home Edition. My name is Sherry Cressy, and I will be your host for this evening. And I would like to thank you all for joining us tonight as we embark on a special journey where we learn all we can about Viking cruises. Before we get started, just a few things I'd like to go over. First of all, we are All Aboard Travel, and we have a business unit located in the Fort Myers, Florida area, which has been proudly serving its community for well over 32 years. However, what is important to note is that All Aboard Travel is a travel leaders vacation center. So when you work with us, you're working with the very best of the best. Travel Leaders is one of the largest travel companies in the world, and you'll have someone there to hold your hand start to finish on your future travel journeys. Now, during tonight's presentation, should you have any questions, feel free to take advantage of the Q&A box that you see located on the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and type in your question and submit it, and time permitting, we'll do our very best to answer those questions for you live during the presentation today. And of course, any other questions that you think of afterwards, don't hesitate to give us a call, 1-800-741-1770. And when you do give us a call, you'll be placed in contact with a live certified senior level expert travel advisor who is completely knowledgeable, not just on Viking, but on all of our preferred partners and vendors and suppliers that we bring to you each and every single day. Now, we are having the Expo, and we are grateful to be able to bring it to you live and in person, as well as recording this so that you're able to watch this in your home comfortably. But we didn't want you to miss out on any of those good deals that you've come to love when you see us at the Expo Center or the convention centers each and every single year. So we have some good things in store for you. Now, if you do choose to make a reservation by February 8th of 2021, you're going to be entitled to apply up to a $500 onboard credit per stateroom on a sailing. Or if you've enjoyed any of our other presentation and you're looking forward to booking an all-inclusive resort stay or perhaps a guided tour package, we'll be able to help you apply up to a $500 discount on that as well. So do reach out and we'll be happy to show you how to make the most value, get the most bang for your buck in your next journey. Now for the big news before we get started with the presentation. This year, we are so proud to be able to offer a grand prize. So how do you win it? Well, simply by registering and attending any of our fabulous presentations for our Cruise and Travel Expo 2021 Home Edition through the end of January. For every presentation that you do attend and register for, you will earn an entry into the drawing to possibly win a $1,000 All Aboard Travel gift certificate. Folks, I'm so excited to give that $1,000 gift certificate away to one lucky winner this year. I can hardly wait. So fingers crossed and good luck to all of you who are here today. Now, just a reminder, we do love groups, and we have a niche division within our All Aboard Travel office that are professionals and have really got groups down to a science. So in the year 2020, we have not been able to gather with our friends and family the way that we would have hoped to, or celebrate the way that we would have wanted to. Folks, we understand that. We hear it all day. So going forward, if you have a family reunion, if you're a member of a gated community with a clubhouse, if you're a part of a club or an organization and you think it would be great to be able to get together and really celebrate in the next year or two, give us a call and we'll hold your hand and we'll be able to make a wonderful experience for all. And don't forget to ask your advisor, what are the perks and benefits of being a group leader? Now, You've heard enough from me, so let's get on to the good stuff and why you are all here. I am so proud to bring you one of the most fabulous gents that I know. I am so grateful that we can bring you Darren from Viking Cruises to share all of his new and updated information with us about Viking. So Darren, thank you for joining.
Hey, Sherry, good evening. How are you?
It's so good to see your face, sir. It's been a long time.
When you started off the presentation there, just to think back, this is that week where we do our wonderful road trip together. We spend a few days together each and every year, and we get to see your wonderful clients and such. It's so sad, isn't it? So depressing.
Um,
But
Well, we are where we are, and things look like they're. From all I can see, things are on their way back to. I don't want to use that word normal. There's some trigger words out there. We want to be careful what to use, but things are looking on the up and up these days, and I'm so glad that you are here because when we do hold our expo live at the convention centers each and every single year, you just happen to be one of the most sought after and highly attended presentations that we do provide. So everyone just loves to see you, Darren, and you give out some great information. So
boy, it's lovely.
whenever
Thank you.
whenever you are ready, I went ahead and I turned over control to you.
Thank you
If
so
you
much.
have any videos that you intend to play, you just want to make sure you hit the toggle button that says share your computer sound.
I'll just probably be using some PowerPoint presentation, avoiding
Perfect.
a bit of video. If that's up on your screen at the moment, Sherry, can you confirm that you can hear and see me, or at least see my screen?
Yes, yes, sir. We can hear and
Lovely,
see you.
lovely. Well, let me start by saying thank you for this opportunity in doing what has, you just use the word norm. Since March of last year, this has been norm to us in the industry, and it's given us the opportunity to reach out and stay in contact with our fabulous travel partners, so to everybody all aboard, and to our fellow guests and future clients as well. So this is something we do now on a daily basis. Thank goodness for technology because it has helped us stay in touch. And I'm very fortunate, that Viking has come through rather unscathed during this harsh time that we've gone through. And to Sherry's point as well, we each day we see the light getting brighter at the end of the tunnel, and we are really looking forward to getting back to operation, welcoming you all back on board. Whether you be a repeat guest of ours or a new guest of ours, we will soon be there, ladies and gentlemen. And during these months that we have not been operating, we've been busy as a business, I tell you, and some exciting stuff happened in the interim since we probably all got together last year in January this time. So I'm going to do an overview today of Viking. Some new to the brand, some have sailed with us, but as I alluded to, we've got some new exciting information to share with you as well. You know, we live in this world now, right? And that we foresee is going to be different when we return to cruising and requirements and such. And I always just want to address this. Let's get this, let's get this one out of the room first of all, so we can, just get on with the fun stuff. And Viking kind of saw what was going to be happening further down the line. There's going to be a change in how we're going to be traveling, what travel is going to be like, particularly when we start back traveling. And we invested heavily in money, in time, in manpower to ensure that when you are ready and Viking is ready, we may not be the first to return to cruising. What we will ensure when we do cruise again is that we'll be the safest. And I'm sure some of the information I'm sharing with you, more information available, will kind of, set the tone for how serious we take this and how important it is for us to ensure your safety, your health is, paramount to us, and going forward and doing what we used to do in the best way possible. Now, what you see before you is fluid. We're living in a very fluid situation at the moment with requirements, but we're prepared for anything, and we will amend and change as deemed necessary by the by those governing bodies and by countries to which we're going to be cruising, to ensure that we abide by all rules, regulations. We don't reach them, but we surpass them. And a couple of the bullet points here really, I think, portray that. The moment we discovered this was going to be a worldwide pandemic, we put a plan into place. We got our folks working on what it's going to be like, when we start cruising again on the prevention. And one of the most amazing attributes we added to our staff over the operations office in Basel, Switzerland, was actually the hiring of Dr. Raquel Bono, who's actually a retired Vice Admiral of the United States Medical Corps, has firsthand experiences with pandemics and disease and such like that. So, she's one of the world's leading professionals when it comes to this field. And we were so fortunate and we were so honored to actually bring her on as a member of the Viking employee team. So, it doesn't really get any better than she's overseeing everything that we're going to be putting into place. The investment that we put into our ocean ships, actually designing and creating and installing on-board testing facilities, laboratories on board with laboratory scientists and staff members to ensure that each and every day our guests are going to be tested in a non-invasive way, kind of, just with a saliva test, which, matches and meets all requirements as well. That on our ocean vessels, that testing and those results are going to be there on a daily basis within hours. While we're not actually able to do the very same on our river ships, with a few of our global partners that we've come together with, we will still be conducting the same daily testing, and by means of couriers and such, and assigned partnerships that we've made with local laboratories along the rivers of where we cruise. You two will be tested on a daily basis, and we will know immediately. Investment that we've done on board, again, for prevention and minimization of this, by air purification, by the UV lights systems that we've installed through social distancing measures that we've created throughout our ships. Gone are buffet style meals, of course. These are all the things that we're going to be seeing a change in when we come back to cruising. But we find it necessary. We truly do find it necessary. These are just a couple of the points you see here. I don't want to take up the entire presentation today, but if you haven't already, please reach out to your travel professional, or you visit our Viking website. We have a fully dedicated portion of that website going into much more detail than I'm providing with you this evening, and really to put your mind at rest. It truly is amazing what we've done and who we've partnered with to ensure your health, safety of our guests, of our crew, and as a company as well as we move into the future. It has been a heck of a ride. I've got to say that. I'm now into my 10th year with the company. Wow, goodness me. When I started, we had, 8 ships maybe, in this little river ship fleet of ours. We expanded in 2015 into ocean cruising. And then on the success of ocean cruising, at the end of 2019, we announced our entry into what we were going into expedition cruising starting next year. And then when everything around us in the industry was going to pot, in April of last year, we came out with the wonderful news, and probably news that many of you have probably come up to me during the annual events and asked, Darren, when is it that Viking is going to be starting river cruising in the United States domestically? And April last year, we finally got the wonderful news that after many years of putting the plans together, that we were finally able to bring the opportunity for you to come river cruise with us in mainland United States on the Mississippi, again, starting in 2022. So there was good news among all this, when everything seemed to be, negative around us. To consider the fact that's how we have grown. That's where we are today. We are cruising in 7 continents, 95 countries, 403 ports, 5 oceans, 20 rivers, and 5 Great Lakes. What does it say to you? It says that Viking gives you the opportunity to sail on more bodies of water than any other cruise line globally. Nobody else can provide you those opportunities to do so within a single brand. Even our name has changed to that point. When we started, we were Viking River Cruises, and we became a household name through that. And then we started ocean cruising. So you started seeing a bit of Viking ocean cruising. But now with the announcement of the 2 new experiences, which will be starting up in 2022, it just made sense to take away the word cruise and just call us Viking. And basically what that's saying is the information that I'm going to be sharing initially with you counts to the fact that whatever body of water, whatever ship you're on, wherever in the world you are cruising with us, you are going to have a Viking experience. You're going to enjoy the same inclusions. You're going to be sailing with the similar people, with Viking clients, Viking guests. It's all going to be a Viking experience, regardless of whether you're cruising. So we're super excited about the expansion and the many different opportunities that we can provide both our existing repeat Viking guests as well as new to brand as well. So as I said, it's super excitement going on at the company, and I think that the main success of the company has been knowing who we are as a brand and continue to focus on what we are and to whom we provide service to our clientele as well. That Viking client, the Viking guest really hasn't changed for us over the 23 years that we've been in business, with a sheer fact that we're focused on North American guests now, since our introduction of the Viking longships and our becoming that household name through obviously during advertising, our direct mail pieces that we put out there, but more importantly, I believe through our television advertising, did we become that name synonymous, particularly with river cruising. And for those on the presentation this evening, maybe avid lovers of PBS and Masterpiece Theatre and a little show called Downton Abbey that really helped to put us on the map, and really made us that name that we are today. Phenomenal. But at the same time, by advertising on PBS or sponsoring PBS rather, and showing that we knew the demographic was watching that show, we know who our guest is, and we will continue to focus on that Viking client, folks who are avid travelers, want to broaden their horizons culturally with interest in history, geography, culture, food and wine. These are all the elements of interest who the Viking guest is. So, we came up with this slide. It's a little tongue in cheek, but I really do love it because I think it really defines by being kind of a little negative, being a little naughty, by saying to you, no, 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 no. It tells you who we are. It sets the expectations of what you're going to experience when you do come to cruise with us. So, I won't go over all these points this evening, but I will just highlight a couple. And immediately, right, no casinos. So, these decisions were made for a very good point, that we maximize the length of time that we spend in port. The casinos on ships take up space. Casinos on ships cost money to operate. And so the decision was made not to include casinos. So if you are on the presentation, you're an avid, enjoyer of going to casinos, and this is why you cruise and you're high rollers with other cruise lines, and I can't cruise without going to a casino, having a casino, then, we know immediately, right, that we're not the right fit. And I think that's very important for us all to know, to set that expectation, as I said, and it's particularly for our travel partners, such as All Aboard here, for the magnificent agents that they have and advisors, that they know immediately that Viking doesn't have casinos, so they can advise of that. The other very important sector, of course, then is maybe, we are looking maybe at family groups are on the presentation today. You see immediately by our age limit that we have on our vessels, we are an adult-only cruise experience. And again, just to reiterate, what I'm showing you on the slide will go for all formats of Viking cruising: river, ocean, expedition, Mississippi, Great Lakes. It is under that one umbrella, right, of Viking. So we adhere to very strictly the minimum age group of 18 and above. Again, when you're coming to cruise with us, for sure, for a fact, that there are going to be no children on board, and you're going to enjoy an adult-only experience. Now, if you only cruise with your children, teenage children, younger children, then we know immediately again that, Viking may not necessarily be the right fit for us at that time. So hopefully we will see you when you're 18, or you leave your children with grandparents or such like that, or grandparents come when they then travel with their families and other cruises. Perfectly fine, but just be prepared and know what the experience will be and who we have on board our vessels, and that continuation of the high inclusion that we're going to look at in some of the other slides here coming up as well. So we opted not to follow, as quite a few others maybe have done, in going all inclusive. Rather define ourselves as highly inclusive and put forth what these inclusions will be. When we say Viking, we say value. And I think that's one of the wonderful things that really defines us who we are. We are that value proposition when it comes to cruising, again, across the board, river, ocean, expedition, Mississippi. And we've continued on our journey by including a daily shore excursion in every single port of call that we visit. And sometimes we might be in 2 ports, depending on that itinerary. Then we'll then get to enjoy 2 complimentary shore experiences. In a lot more of our ports of call, we are including a choice of complimentary shore excursions. So that's happening too as well. Goes without saying, obviously, all our onboard meals. Dining venues, particularly when we start looking at the larger vessels, absolutely no additional cost for specialty dining. When we start looking at the inclusion of the beer, wine, and sodas with all our meals throughout all the entire fleet as well. Specialty coffees and teas available to 24 hours a day. These are all complimentary included, bottled water. Free complimentary Wi-Fi as well to ensure that you can keep in contact with loved ones back home as well. In-room entertainment system. And again, one of the lovely things about the Viking brand and pricing and such is you never have to scroll down to the bottom of the page to see how much more hundreds of dollars we're going to have to add on to that cruise fare as a result of taxes and fees, because we build them all in. Now, those are the inclusions that you will get to enjoy with this wonderful pricing that the Viking brings to market. But there are a couple of elements not included, and purposely so. And we like to give you that opportunity to choose how and what you would like to choose in addition to that. So, number one, I mentioned the fact that we include complimentary shore experience in every single port that we travel to. Absolutely right. But Viking also has what we call the optional tour program. And our optional tour programs are themed events, which are specialized, which we don't anticipate everybody on board enjoying, but we are able to provide these opportunities for guests interested in partaking in them. And they come with nominal fees, and those fees vary based on what their experience would be. Number 2, I mentioned the fact that beer, wine, sodas are included, but not alcoholic beverages. We look at the Viking guests. We're not the party ship, for sure. But we know some of our guests do like to enjoy a cocktail before dinner with entertainment and later and such. But many of our guests are non-drinkers. So it didn't make sense to include alcoholic beverages in our pricing for those who didn't drink. What we did, we came up with the Silver Spirits package. Silver Spirits package, at a nominal fee of $15 per person per day. Excuse me, $20 per person today. I'll correct myself there immediately. $20 per person per day then gives you the opportunity to enjoy an open bar across the fleet as well. So that's something you could budget for. And then finally, regards to the presentations that we provide, the wonderful professional service that the all aboard agents can provide you as well. At the end of the day, is when you join us on our cruises, that the proof is in the pudding, we like to say, and it's the service that you receive on board our vessels, which is each and every year it amazes me that as the fleet has grown to the amount of ships that we have now, some 72 river ships, close to now. I'm about to announce the name of the 10th ocean ship, the expansion to expeditions and Mississippi cruises. The level of service that we've maintained is absolutely mind-blowing, and it really is a tip of the hat to our operations folks there in Basel, Switzerland, to ensure that we hire, train, and maintain the service level that we provide on board. So we say to our guests, hold off prepaying your gratuities, rather wait until the end of your cruise and then reward accordingly. Depending on whether you're on a river or ocean, it just varies by the currency. But if you wanted to make a budget for what your gratuities would be, based on about $15 per person per day, and that will give you a rough estimate of what you'll be paying in gratuities. Now, no cruising last year, of course, but in 2019, a high percentage, from 87% of folks who sailed with us, actually at the end of their cruise went into their cruise bill and actually added to those standard gratuities that we put forth. So happy were they with the service and the experience they had from our clients. So take those factors into consideration of the inclusions, the other items I've just mentioned as well, and that allows you then to sit down and budget and say, okay, this is pretty much what I'm looking at for what a fully inclusive trip would be with Viking. So the value proposition is there, as I said. Now, what I've done this evening, I've just taken the world maps of river and ocean. Obviously within the time limit given to me, it would be impossible to go over particular itineraries, but I just wanted to give you a view of the window of the world of river cruising with Viking and how it looks and where we are cruising. There may be a couple of these regions that you were maybe not aware that we were cruising in. One thing that definitely sets us apart, since our origins 22, 23 years ago, where we started in Russia with a couple of ships and then expanded into river cruising in mainland Europe, is the fact that as we stand today, each of the rivers, each of the countries that you see listed on this map, Viking now owns and operates its own ships throughout the world on these elements that you see before you on the slide. So unlike many other river cruise lines who are maybe working with third parties as far as ships are concerned, as far as operations are concerned, as far as hiring is concerned, not with Viking. Everything is owned and operated. We have our fingers on the pulse of the procedures and the operations that we're providing, and we can make changes, amend, improve based on the experiences of our guests. So that really gives us an advantage over many of the other fine river cruise companies that are out there. We look at this map and immediately you see that the focus is in the Central Europe region, right? So what we do provide is a series of wonderful 8-day itineraries. Now, the 8-day itineraries are perfect for those who are looking to river cruise maybe for the first time, maybe time constraints, you don't want to commit maybe too much time to your first river cruise. So an 8-day will be perfect. Maybe put a couple of days on the front or a couple of days on the aft for a pre and post, and you will have a wonderful opportunity to experience river cruising with Viking. For the most part, in an 8-day itinerary, you could be seeing up to 4 different countries already, seeing major cities, small towns, enjoying overnights in some of the major cities as well. These all come to them. So when we start looking at the main rivers of the Rhine, a wonderful 8-day Rhine from Basel, Switzerland, all the way up to the Dutch capital of Amsterdam, traveling through Germany, traveling through France, into the Netherlands as well. So, great opportunities there. Probably the river most renowned to river cruising, the Danube. Danube is probably the most traveled on river in river cruising for us. We definitely have the most ships cruising on the Danube, and it's the most popular with our guests as well. And again, a great opportunity for you to join us on several 8-day itineraries sailing on the Danube as well. But we have a wonderful 15-day cruise, the Grand European. Now, the Grand European is our flagship itinerary. It takes us from Amsterdam in the Netherlands all the way to Budapest in Hungary for that wonderful 2-week experience, enjoying the northern regions of the Rhine through the Main Danube and onto the Main River, and then finally along the Danube River all the way. So a wonderful opportunity to really see Europe within that 2-week period. 2-week cruises with us probably are most popular based on the availability of our guests to travel for extended times and budget as well. So the Danube, the Rhine, absolutely so popular with us. The entire country of France, also a very popular destination when we look at river cruising. The opportunity to sail in the northern regions of France on the Seine River, traveling round trip, which is quite unique and quite rare actually, traveling from Paris all the way up the Seine to the northern regions of Rouen, and then taking an entire day to visit the Normandy beaches. Probably one of the main reasons why folks actually sail this cruise, as well as of course spending time in the wonderful French capital of Paris. Maybe it's the food and wine elements you're looking for, then travel down to southern France with us, sail on the Rhone River between Avignon and Lyon, get a feel of the Roman influences of southern France, into the Provence regions, the wonderful wine regions of Châteauneuf de Pape, the culinary excellence that Lyon brings to us as well. Or maybe, why travel twice when you can travel once? Combine both of those cruises and sail with us on France's finest. A wonderful way to see northern and southern France in one trip. We connect you together from Paris to Lyon by means of the TGV, the high-speed train system in France, and you get to travel both north and south together. Maybe you're a wine lover and all you want to do for 8 days is drink wine. Well, the Bordeaux round-trip cruise will be perfect for you. The elements of this itinerary is just solely on the wines of the Bordeaux region, on the cognacs, on the food elements and such like that as well. All the way west to Portugal, where again, just to reiterate, we now own and operate our fleet there, get to enjoy the Portuguese capital of Lisbon before making our way north into the port of Porto, and then sailing along the Douro River of Portugal, all the way there to the Spanish border and making our way back, a combination of land and cruise when we enjoy Portugal's River of Gold. I touched on initially where it all started for us, and today where we still have an operations office in St. Petersburg, Russia, where we have a fleet of 5 vessels there, again, owned and operated. A magnificent cruise of following the wonderful rivers of the Svir and the Volga, enjoying 3 days in Moscow, 3 days in St. Petersburg, taking in all the cultural elements and highlights of these 2 magnificent cities before enjoying river cruising on the rural rivers of Russia, and really bringing Russia home as it is today. And then there's 2 little inserts you see there for the more adventurer of us, for the more, combining both the land elements and the cruise elements on both of these itineraries. As we look at the top square there, sailing on the magnificent Mekong River, combining that with land tours of Vietnam and Cambodia. Absolutely fabulous itinerary. And to really top it all now, the actual development, design and building of our very own ship cruising on the Mekong, totally different to the vessels that we sail in Europe. Extremely intimate, just 38 guests on board, and really bringing that wonderful element of Southeast Asia to you with that Viking feel. And then below, probably one of the itineraries we got the most excited about just before the pandemic hit us, and that was when we announced a couple of years back we'd be starting cruising back in Egypt. But we weren't really happy with the vessels we were operating or chartering in that time in Egypt. So again, great investment was made, ensuring that when guests came to sail with us in Egypt moving forward, they will be doing so in great Viking fashion. As a result of that, we built our very own ships in Egypt as well. So a wonderful way to obviously experience the fantastic relics and history of the Grand Pyramids of Egypt, as well as also getting to experience the real colonial efforts and experiences of sailing there on the Nile River on a Viking vessel as well. So, many options. Many of our folks have varied from one country to the next, expanded their length of times that we cruise, but there really is something to river cruising with us. When we look at our vessels in Europe, you will be cruising now on a Viking longship. That's pretty much easy to say when we're in Europe, as I want to stress to that. When we're sailing on the Rhine River and the Danube River, the most popular, you're sailing on a Viking longship. It looks like this. There's a couple of rivers where we have taken the same design, but just kind of manipulated it a little bit and redesigned it in order for us to be able to cruise on those rivers. Portugal will be an example of that, where we have a shorter longship up in Seine, on the Seine River in Paris as well, to enable us now to dock in downtown Paris, minutes away from the Eiffel Tower. We've taken one of our long ships and just made it a little bit shorter as well. So, but other than that, you'll be sailing on a Viking long ship today remain, absolutely revolutionary in what they did for river cruising, with the unique design of the square bow, the long sun deck at the top, which creates then 3 full decks on the ship. Not all river companies have ships that have 3 full decks. By having a square bow at the front here, that has allowed us to do so. Then focusing the public areas further forward on the ship, and then providing us more space to provide you additional opportunity of different categories of staterooms to choose from when you come to cruise with Viking. That wonderful feel of the moment you step onto a Viking vessel. It's welcoming, it's airy, it's light. The elements that we use throughout, the light woods, the metals, but it's glass that you're going to see throughout all the ships in our fleet, regardless of where we are cruising. We've kept that wonderful, clean, Scandinavian contemporary design feel throughout the ships. And it is echoed regardless of where we are. These are ships built for destination, focusing on the viewing aspect, ensuring that public space is maximized. Here we are on the Aquavit Terrace, right? The alternate dining venue on board our vessel, but an area that's dedicated to dining and to viewing. Simple as that. Without obstruction, it really truly defines the design feature that you can find throughout the ship. And the same feel and touch goes throughout the vessel. We have 3 decks of accommodations throughout, from our standard staterooms to our French balcony staterooms with the sliding French doors, to the majority of the staterooms, which are sit-out veranda staterooms, and then to these wonderful veranda suites that we have. And again, a suite, a stateroom defined by accommodation that has 2 separate rooms. So here you would have the bedroom here with the sliding French door, and then the sit-out veranda here in the lounge area. So again, an array of staterooms. We truly believe that there is a size of stateroom that matches your needs, your wants, as well as budgets throughout. So, a wide audience is really welcomed on board when you come to river cruising with us. It was actually as a result of the success of river cruising, becoming that household brand, but mainly listening to the existing Viking guests. And really what these guests were doing, and many of you may be on the call with us this evening, was, river cruising with us and then going to ocean cruise with another brand, river cruise one year, ocean cruise the next, such like that. And we were constantly hounded by our wonderful guests by the fact that, look, I want to ocean cruise the Viking. I want to ocean cruise the Viking way, which I'm not able to do so. So much thought was put into it, and obviously we quizzed our guests. And 2013, we did announce, very excitingly so, that we will be entering into ocean cruising realm starting then in 2015. And we set sail with our first of our vessels in May of 2015 on the Viking Star. And to say we haven't looked back since is unbelievable. I think we far exceeded any expectations that we had. Viking does an amazing job. While we do a great job in ensuring that our brand is renowned and known throughout the land, what we do on the experience side is definitely we remain understated. We definitely don't overpromise. We avoid such words as luxury and such like that. Rather, you discover that for yourself. It's like looking back at our gratuities, right? How well our staff on board are rewarded and taken care of. It's because we give you the basics, we set forth what it's going to be looking like, we give you a general idea what the Viking experience is going to be. But when you actually get on board and you experience that with us, the wow factor hits, and for the most part, then we over deliver, and that really is our goal. And we did so on the ocean side. Ocean cruising, May of 2015, the launch. This is not just building new ships. This is building a new company. This is building a whole new operations, because we couldn't take away from our river cruise side, so we had to invest and add to create the Viking Ocean department. Again, very successfully so. By August of 2016, just one simple example here that I've chosen on this. So on this screen is the Travel and Leisure Awards. world's best ocean cruise line. We did that within just over a year of being in operation, and many have seen it as beginner's luck and such like that. And these are written by, by fellow guests, who voted us on such a high experience. And it wasn't first time, it wasn't beginner's luck as such, because one thing a Viking does is ensure consistency, and not just to make the goal, but to reach that goal the next year, and to surpass those goals each and every single year. And as you will see here, we've done that now for 4 years in a row. 5 years if you count 2020, but nobody's cruised, so it's gonna be a little difficult. But we were so proud of what we've achieved within our ocean cruise experience. And again, for me to start going over the itineraries one by one, we will be here for days. But just again, bringing up that ocean world map of Viking ocean cruising, it really shows you that there's not much of the planet's water that we are not currently cruising on or visiting to some of these magnificent states. And as our fleet has now grown, as I said, we're probably preparing to announce the name of our 10th ocean cruise ship coming up in the next year or so. It's allowing us to position our vessels globally, seasonally. The great thing for you is, as many other ocean cruise lines, especially when we look at some of the exotic locations throughout the world, yeah, they might have a ship there for a couple of cruises as they pass by that region, and not for long time, and then pretty much you are then you're forced into a corner as to what cruise date you'd like to cruise with them. With the advantage of having this fleet of identical vessels positioning in these locations for a season, it provides you a wider array of cruise dates to enjoy something that maybe fits into your planning on a much better scale. So it is remarkable that we're able to do this. We will be having ships only in Northern Europe, where the Baltics is home for us. Baltic cruising, definitely Bergen, the fjords, going up to the North Cape. Going up to the North Cape in months of January, February, March, in order to see the Northern Lights. We have a British Isles cruise, whereby our ships are actually able to dock in downtown Greenwich in London, again because of the sheer size of the vessels. We're able to sail up the Thames Delta and through the breakwaters into actual downtown London, which is absolutely phenomenal. It goes without saying, the Mediterranean, we have itineraries anywhere from 8 days to 15 to 23 days. We'll have ships operating in the Western Mediterranean, the Eastern and Central Mediterraneans, and having a ship there actually during the winter months as well, which is quite unique. So, sailing the Eastern Mediterranean during the winter months, where, the lines are not as long, the heat is not as intense, the value is great, but it's not summer. And I think that's one of the aspects that many folks are seeing, that love to go to Europe, hate the heat in June, July, August, hate the crowds. So what amazing way to experience this part of the world during what we call the quiet season and the winter and the med time. So definitely featured in the Mediterranean. I'm going closer to home here, with Fort Lauderdale being a port of call for many of our Central and South American cruises as well. Our Caribbean cruise is actually sailing out of home port of Puerto Rico, in San Juan, Puerto Rico, a 12-day Caribbean cruise, allowing us, deleting that segment from Miami or Fort Lauderdale to San Juan, which many, include, where days at sea are, really nothing for us to be doing. But to ensure that we get to maximize the amount of islands that we see, maximize the length of time we spend on the island, is to sail round trip San Juan, allowing us to go as far south as Barbados. South America, sailing between Santiago and Valparaiso, doing that wonderful, I like to call the pendulum cruise, right? So taking the countries of Argentina and Chile and sailing around the Horn of South America as well. Just phenomenal, with multiple dates. When seasons are back and we're sailing, the beautiful fall season, allowing us to see the beautiful fall foliage during the September, October dates, sailing them from New York to then up into Montreal, Canada. Alaska, when all comes back together again, sailing out of Vancouver to Seward. up in Alaska. And then some of the exotics down in Southeast Pacific has got Australia, New Zealand cruise, beautiful 15-day itinerary. Southeast Asia, magnificent cruises incorporating Japan, and sailings from China into Indonesia. So magnificent opportunity to really go, for at least 2 weeks and take in Southeast Asia. And there's our world cruise. Our world cruise really which we've sold out every single year since we started world cruising, to full world cruise passengers only. These folks cruise with us religiously almost, and enables them to see ports of call of the world that they may not yet have seen. And these war cruises really do open up these ports of call for us. So, again, it's just an overview, multiple itineraries varying anywhere from 8-day to 180 days for our war cruise in the locations you see on the map. There truly really isn't many places that we are not ocean cruising to now. The magnificent ships, as I alluded to, 930 passengers. So it does put us in what we call in the industry, in the small ship category. The ships are brand new design. As I said, 2015 is pretty new for design of vessels. So we already came to operating with futuristic, features on the vessels, keeping this green mindedness to us, minimizing our carbon footprint. Absolutely everything that we're going to see in a futuristic cruise ship was introduced here for our vessels. All identical again, so regardless of where you're cruising with us in the world, you'll always feel at home if you're a past guest. Multiple categories of accommodations, again, just as we did on our river ships, but starting at all verandas. Minimum is a veranda on these vessels. 8 dining opportunities for you to enjoy. Public spaces throughout, theaters, movie theaters, the pool with retractable roof, the infinity pool at the aft of the vessel, the beautiful 2-deck viewing area of the Explorer's Lounge. And again, the choice goes on, it goes throughout. And again, keeping that same feel and design features. Same architects and designers as we have for the long ships. We brought them over to the ocean ships. So you're going to see a lot of similarities here with the materials that are used in the design and the structure and the production of these magnificent ships. You really get a feel that you enter into a much larger ship than you truly are. And with just 930 passengers, spaced out public areas, you never at any given time feel that you're enclosed anywhere without the vessel. Again, built for design, built for feature. Nothing says that more than we find here, the 2-deck Explorer's Lounge. And I mentioned earlier about the main pool. Again, I think you'll get a good feel of how much glass is incorporated into the design of the vessel, allowing that natural light to be filtering in wherever you may be. Love the retractable roof over the main pool because that allows us to, within minutes, right, to either close or open the roof based on required weather conditions. And that allows us then to not have to cancel things like movies under the stars or the pool party that we might be hosting if it's raining or snowing, depending on where we are in the world at that time. The roof is just merely open and closed on a very easy basis. And again, as I spoke about earlier, the fact that we provide multiple categories of accommodations, again, so really opening up to a wide audience based on your budget, based on your stateroom size. We have something for everyone. This is as we said, this is as bad as it gets. When we look at the veranda stateroom at 270 square feet, sit out veranda, spacious sitting area, king size beds on our vessels that can always be made into twin beds as well, if so required. We took that same the bathroom elements that we enjoyed in our Viking longships and brought those over as well. Spacious, ample storage room. You've got to think, quite a few of these ships are used for, longer cruises. I've said 92 days, 148 days. So ample storage space on board. And as we go up into the different categories, obviously, we start looking at staterooms of 405 square feet. We can go all the way up to 1,400 square feet for the owner's suite. So again, depending on how you would like to enjoy your cruise with us, depends on how you would like to book your accommodations. Then, as I alluded to, it was the end of 2019. I'm going to keep all my years together here. Again, as a result of success of river cruising, success of ocean cruising, and our guests saying, I've always wanted to expedition cruise, but I want to do it the Viking way. So again, we did the same thing as we did with the ocean side of things. And we went forth and we designed and built, or not actually building rather, we designed and we put together probably one of the world's leading expedition teams that the industry has ever seen. The senior members of our team have worked for government organizations, for cruise lines. They've worked for associations, working for one of our partners, maybe on the scientific research side of things. Again, every complex aspect was considered in putting all this together to ensure that we're going to enjoy expedition cruising uniquely, but with that Viking feel. And I'm sure you'll see just by the mere rendering that you're seeing here of the vessel, you see a very close connection to what a Viking ocean ships look like, for very good reason, because they were designed and they will be built that way. The first of the ships actually, Octantis actually just hit the water. She did her float out just beginning of the month. So we're seeing wonderful expectation, and her sister will be directly behind her. Again, identical in ships, obviously built for expedition cruising with the icebreaker hulls, as you would see here. We're just looking at 380 passengers approximately. You're not just expedition cruising Viking. We just had a presentation from an expedition team, a lengthy presentation, and the focus of how much scientific research, hands-on, that you are going to be enjoying, of what you are going to be part of when you come to expedition cruise with us, is second to none. It truly is second to none. You're going to be part of science as it takes place. When you consider the fact we're going to have a team of up to 40 researchers and scientists and students on these vessels at any given time, doing live testing, doing research and such like that, that you will be able to be part of as well. So we are so excited. The ships, again, designed for the feature of expedition and for destination and research, but also enjoyable in that Viking fashion. And you get that feel. We just looked at the Explorer's Lounge on the ocean ship. You can see the similarities, although be it on a smaller scale here on the expedition vessel, but also still a 2-deck viewing area, lovely place to come together with friends and fellow travelers, enjoy a cocktail, and just take in the magnificent, unobstructed views throughout. And it goes without saying, just as we've enjoyed on all our other vessels, we are building these ships with a wide array of staterooms as well. Introducing these Nordic balconies that we have. Obviously, for the most part, these ships will be operating in colder climates. So really, balconies are not something, and verandas are not something featured so much. But by the introduction of these Nordic balconies, the window you see at the far end there, when we are in warmer climate and we are able to enjoy the outside air, the top window section comes down and you enjoy that kind of an indoor balcony feel throughout there. And again, the staterooms based on the same as we enjoyed on our ocean vessels, just brought onto the expedition ships and across. And to really emphasize and focus on what the enjoyment is going to be by expedition cruising of Viking, these unique features, the hangar. This place absolutely blows my mind. In expedition cruising, a huge part of that is actually leaving the ship and enjoying the waters of which we're discovering. And in all other cases, you have to board these little vessels, these ribs and these zodiacs and the kayaks and such from outside of the vessel, right? So that means you have to contemplate the choppiness of the water, the winds maybe and such like that. So quite daunting sometimes. Viking has eliminated that by the fact of creating the hangar built within the belly of the ship itself. If we're going out to enjoy the water events of that day, getting onto the zodiacs and the ribs, etc., you are going to embark upon these smaller vessels within the body of the ship, eliminating the choppiness of the water and the openness. Get onto these little vessels, they slide down to the aft, the back of the ship opens up, and away your craft goes into the open waters, and that's just repeated when we come back. You'll see in the middle there, towards the back, the yellow item there, that's one of our 2 submersibles that we will have on board each ship. We have 2 on each vessel, and it's our goal for everybody on board the ship to enjoy, a submersible ride during their experience with us as well. There's no additional cost for any of these elements, ladies and gentlemen. These are all incorporated, all included in the expedition experience. On some of the other expedition vessels, some of these experiences will be of additional cost, but not with Viking. And again, just to focus on how much of a scientific research experience this is going to be. Now we're looking further into the ship from the hangar itself, and up above there, you're seeing the lab, the laboratory. And this is where we're going to be, working side by side with the scientists, with the researchers. This is only part of the experience. We're going to be doing a lot of research into wildlife and leading up to our cruises, the photography classes, the scientific research classes. These are all going to be part of the experience while sailing with us. So it really, I think, sets it apart. And the itineraries, of course, these ships are basically built to enjoy 2 main elements, 2 main itineraries, sailing in the Arctic and sailing in the Antarctic. It goes without saying, right? And our Antarctic itinerary here, 13 days, we'll find our guests sailing then down to Buenos Aires. And then from Buenos Aires, we all get together as a group at the hotel before manning a charter flight then to take us down to Ushari. And Ushari, that's when we will board the vessel. And that's when our expedition will really take off. And what we then do is, as we sail across Drake's Passage en route to the Antarctic islands, this is the preparation days. This is when we get to try on our all the equipment that we're providing, right? And to do research and take those photography lessons and all these things that we're about to embark upon. Because once we get down into Antarctica and its regions there, it's then nature that takes place, and then we're going to be guided by the researchers and the scientists and by the weather conditions as to where we dock on what day, on what we view on what day, based on daily reports and such like that. So what we do in our itineraries, we make days 1 through 3 that passage to Antarctica, and then we leave days 3 through 10, we leave it open, and we call it Discovering Antarctica. And because our goal is to ensure that we get to as many of these ports of call as possible, but taking into consideration weather and conditions and what nature is doing is about us, that will determine when and where we go at any given time. So very exciting, and again, with some of the world's leading researchers. We're working with Cambridge University of the United Kingdom, of course. We're working with Cornell organization here in the US, with NOAA, all these wonderful organizations that we've partnered with exclusivity. So Antarctica there, and then we're going to have a very similar feel to our Arctic cruising as well. We're going to be sailing out of Tromsø in Norway, in the middle of the fjords. Same situation here as well. Days 1 through 3 will see us cruising north, again doing all the testing for the equipment, doing the research and listening to the scientists and researchers on board the vessel before we then get to Svalbard. And then again, same as the Antarctic, we're going to let nature and the specialists and the researchers be our guides as to when, where we're going to be visiting during that given time. Again, so super excited. There is such a great demand for this product. It's phenomenal. We cannot wait to start cruising, and 2022 is just around the corner. We'll be there soon. But a unique feature of these vessels, and they were built in such a way on purpose at a specific width and length, because we can't be cruising Arctic and Antarctic all the time. So what are we going to do with those ships when they're not in those seasonal cruises? Quite easy. We built them in a manner that they can now transgress the wonderful Welland Ship Canal locks going into Canada, and that is going to allow these vessels access into the Great Lakes of North America. So again, now we're going to be bringing domestic expedition cruising into North America. And again, really, there's not really a great brand of essence that we know of cruising in this region. So we are really going to be opening the doors, providing ships which provide amazing comfort, as we always do, as we just looked at now, and still keeping that scientific research element to the experience here in our own backyard. And there is a kind of a a transition cruise, as you would see here, sailing from New York to Toronto. I just spoke about earlier about the ocean cruising, right? The full foliage cruise that would normally sail from New York to Montreal, and then pretty much your cruise will be over. But not for us in this particular case, because with the expedition vessels, we can follow that same route, but then we can continue further from Quebec City around the Trois-Rivières. Then we're going to go through the seaway locks as we just looked, and that allows us access into the first of the Great Lakes, into Lake Ontario, and Toronto being the port of debarkation. Or maybe you've opted to continue with us further, because the next cruise line, the next itinerary is going to bring us into the heart of the Great Lake cruising. So again, this is kind of a transition cruise as we're sailing now from Toronto to Milwaukee, 8 days. 8 days domestic. So that's really what we got to think about. And maybe you've been to a couple of these places, but have you sailed to these places? There's a whole big difference of visiting these towns and cities coming from the roadside as you would experiencing coming from the ocean side of things. So we're going to be exiting the first of the Great Lakes we visited, let's say Lake Ontario, into Lake Erie, through Detroit, and then into Lake Huron, up through Mackinac Island, into the fourth of the Great Lakes, and into Lake Michigan, and Milwaukee being that debarkation port. Now we're going to cruise kind of what we reference as pendulums. We're going to be a series of south to north, north to south itineraries in this particular case. And as we travel northward from Milwaukee to Thunder Bay, again another ideal length of 8 days, sailing back through Lake Michigan, back over Mackinac Island, and then into Georgia Bay, and to take in the wonderful wildlife elements of this region of Ontario provides us. We're going to be doing the very similar things to what we did in Antarctica and Arctic here, allowing nature and the viewing aspects to really guide us in these ports of call before we leave to sail further north again, being able to transition through the Soo Locks into the fifth and final of those Great Lakes, to our final destination of Thunder Bay here in Lake Superior. And to head further south, if you wish to do the combine of both these itineraries, absolutely you can do so to enjoy a 15-day cruise, because we don't repeat the ports of call as we head south again. We have, as far as we possibly could, manage the itinerary differently. Then sailing from Thunder Bay into Duluth, Apostle Islands, you will see there, through Houghton, back through Soo Locks, Mackinac Island, and then back to Milwaukee. So you can enjoy the south to north for 8 days, north to south in 8 days, or alternatively, you can combine both of them to take in a magnificent, pretty much approximately a 2-week itinerary of the Great Lakes. So again, something quite unique for us. And staying domestic, as I said, for years we've been here. I've been asked, when's Viking coming to North America? When are we going to see Mississippi cruising? And it took some time. Not as simple as that. Rules, regulations, and such we had to abide by. But finally, we were so excited in the first week of April last year to finally announce that we're going forward. We're entering the U.S. River cruising, and we will start cruising on the Mississippi at the end of August next year, 2022. On a magnificent vessel, bringing again the Viking essence that we've enjoyed in river, ocean for all these many years, and bringing that feel then to the great river of the Mississippi, bringing a ship that's definitely revolutionizing the Mississippi cruising, bringing that Viking element, bringing that Scandinavian contemporary feel. As you look at the vessel here, if you look at the lower deck, you say, oh my goodness, that looks like one of your European ships, your Viking longships in Europe. Absolutely. The architects and designers are the same folks. And we've taken then the upper decks of this vessel to look very much like and feel very much like our ocean ships, and made a combination of both, kind of a hybrid of both those designs. And again, a vessel that compared to our Viking ships in Europe, double the occupancy, but you are looking at a ship that's twice as wide, right? So the Mississippi, a much greater river than what we're used to sailing on in Europe. So kind of a third of the occupancy of what our ocean vessels are, and roughly double the occupancy of what our Viking river ships would be, but with the same elements. The focus on the public spaces, the emphasis on a ship that's created and designed with viewing, using those same elements of glass throughout viewing areas, absolutely paramount, and bringing that to the Mississippi cruising. And again, a wonderful wide, one river, a wonderful wide array of itineraries for you to choose from. Now, it is nature again, the climate, the elements that are really dictating where on the Mississippi you're cruising at what time of the year. For those familiar with it, I don't think you want to be cruising the lower Mississippi Basin during the months of July and August, for instance. I'm living here in Florida. We know what the situation is with humidity and such, and that only gets multiplied when we look at the Louisiana, Mississippi Basin, mosquitoes. It's a miserable place to be, right? That time of the year. So we're going to be reserving the cooler months to enjoy the southern regions of Mississippi. And when we start the cooler months, we're looking at October through February, and what we're going to be able to do is enjoy round trip itineraries, New Orleans round trip, also dedicating one of the itineraries then to what the holiday season is like and how the holidays are enjoyed and viewed here in the southern region with a wonderful Mississippi holiday cruise. And then the heart of the Delta as well. Also the 8-day cruise, but this time sailing from Memphis to New Orleans or New Orleans to Memphis. So keeping the lower section to the cooler months, the winter and the spring months. Then when the weather is fine, the sun is shining, and the water levels have dropped up in the north at the origins of the Mississippi, we take this fantastic 15-day cruise, transition cruise from New Orleans all the way then up to the upper reaches, as I said, up to Minnesota and St. Paul, to enjoy almost the entire length of Mississippi through this 15-day cruise. This cruise became so popular, and again, we can only sail this cruise on a few dates a year because of it is a transition cruise, and we've got to take into consideration the climate conditions. So it's not an itinerary we can sell all the time. So the demand for these cruises was just phenomenal. A lot of the maiden season 2022 sold out really quickly. So then we were able to actually move forward because of demand and open up 2023 at the beginning of the game. Probably mid-year last year, such was the demand. So great opportunities for you to enjoy the magnificent Mississippi on a state-of-the-art vessel, bringing forth all our years of experience, partnering with our American partners here in the United States, and bringing the Viking feel to river cruising. As I said, New Orleans and Southern Charms, 8 days, was taking a New Orleans round trip. So a great focus on the southern reaches, and particularly on Louisiana. The heart of the Delta was the 8-day from New Orleans to Memphis, combining, major cities, historic landmarks, and some scenic sailing along the way. And then in the summer months, when the weather has turned wonderful, the summers are beautiful, that's when we're going to be sailing in Minnesota down to Wisconsin, sailing from St. Louis up to St. Paul, Minnesota, or vice versa as well, taking an amazing heartland of America. And then that itinerary that I said was just phenomenal. 15 days, north to south or south to north, St. Paul to New Orleans, or vice versa again. Absolutely magnificent itinerary, and the demand for that cruise is just unbelievable. Keeping those same elements as we have seen from all our other ships, same aspects, same materials throughout the vessel. Immediately that you are on a Viking ship, and that is going to be evident throughout the vessel, using the same materials, that same feel to it. Multiple dining venues from the main restaurant up into the cafe, Aquavit Cafe, and into the Aquavit Terrace, location for enjoying the different barbecue aspects that the Mississippi is going to bring to us. Cannot wait to experience that for myself. And just one of the elements we enjoy in our ocean ships, we brought that over to the Mississippi vessel with our infinity plunge pool here, which is located on the top deck aft. Beautiful place for sun lounging during the summer months when we're up in the heart of the Delta maybe. And then a wide array again of categories of accommodations for you to choose your Viking Mississippi cruise with us. No inside cabins, no portholes. At the very least, you're going to have a French balcony stateroom, right? So with a sliding French door, they're going to be 170 square feet, and then it's just, it's going to get better each time you go up to a different category from there. The majority of the staterooms are going to be sit-out verandas. We have a wide array of different suites for you to enjoy again as well. So the majority of the staterooms will be having their own private balconies. A real option and choice for you based on your square footage, based on your budget, as how you would like to come cruise with us. I keep wanting to say 2022, but I'm forcing myself now to say to come cruise with us next year on the Mississippi and Expedition Cruising, and hopefully we'll see a return to cruising again sometime this year. We're very confident, we're very optimistic, but we'll only return to cruising when it is safe to do so. And again, going back to all those health and safety elements we discussed in the very beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a lot to share with you. I hope you've enjoyed the information I've shared. And again, any further information, please reach out to whoever your all aboard agent is, or the number that Sherry shared at the beginning as well.
All set, Darren?
Absolutely.
Okay, goodness, so much information. I know because Viking has evolved a great deal over the last few years and has really just taken strides to provide so much more product and all of the new types of sailing vessels. We did have a couple of comments, most of them just saying wonderful presentation. Marianne said that they did the Rhine a couple of years ago and loved it, and she said beautiful ships. Another comment that said gorgeous ships as well. So lots of really good feedback. I don't believe we have any specific questions that came in during this time. I think you did a very thorough job explaining the itineraries that are coming out and what people can really look forward to. And don't forget, y'all, you've got those fabulous Expo discounts, and now is the time to start planning and taking the time to give us a call at All Aboard Travel. You can reach us at 1-800-741-1770. And with that being said, I do not see any other questions coming in. I want to thank you all for joining us so much tonight. And thanks, Darren, for a wonderful presentation and sharing all of that information with us. And also thank you for being such a wonderful partner of ours here at All Aboard Travel and supporting us 100%. You always do. We love working with you, and our clients really enjoy working with Viking as well, and sailing on your ships. So with that being said, if there's no other questions that are coming in, I want to wish you all, on behalf of Viking and All Aboard Travel, a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.